Okay, let's see how this works. Okay, let's see how this works. I already have some viewers, so I guess I'm committed. I'm trying something new. Live streaming, developing a Lovelace card. So I'm thinking maybe I should start by describing the problem I'm trying to solve this time. Actually, let's do this. Well, this is my first stream, so let me know if the sound is bad or something. I have a new headset as well. I have no idea how it works. I just got it yesterday, and I have an annoying habit of scratching my beard that I'll try to avoid because I think that would be noisy. I also apologize for any keyboard noise and such. Let's see. Starting well. Okay. So I have an example here of what I want to accomplish. If I bring up a local Home Assistant instance, let it start. There we go. So by default, in the Lovelace interface, you get those badges at the top. Increase the font size. I'll try. But if you, for example, and you add your own view, you have to add your own cards, of course, but you can also add some badges to the top. However, if you want some more control of the placement of the cards in the interface, the normal thing is to go to panel mode, and then the badges are gone. So my idea is a Lovelace card that you put badges into, and you can place it anywhere you want in the layout. It won't really be a card, I guess, because it won't have the border and background and everything. Well, so I just get started. I'll close this container for now because that's my template, and instead I'll make a copy of it. Let's see, it's like that, I think. Lovelace, let's call it badge card. Recursively. Okay, so in my template, I have a bit already set up. I don't know what that is really. Oh, that's because the container. I have some basic node stuff, but I don't really know how it works, but I make it work well enough. And I need to replace all of those placeholders for the name. So that's a good start, I guess. Badge card. Badge card. And in the meanwhile, I guess I could start installing all the node stuff. Badge card, npm run add. No. I should have practiced this first, I guess. Add. That should work. Okay. So while that's going, I'll keep updating. Webpack should output badge card.js, and my test containers should copy that into the container and install it. So this is I use Docker to test run my cards, and I set up a special compose file which starts a Docker container with my card, runs the sets up the default configuration and adds a user, just so I don't have to do that. Then I manually do the onboarding step, so I don't have to go through that every time. I add some Lovelace resources and, well, start it up. And I can run this on either the latest production container or the latest development container. But that should do this, I guess. I have a main.js already, so I think that should be ready to start. Yes, and if I run, actually I should probably have something in. Go to test and run the dev container. It downloads card mod from GitHub because I use that in all of my test setups, just to help me keep track of what I've been testing. Okay, so the container is up and running, and in the browser console we see badge card placeholder. So that seems to be working. In this layout, I should probably have the development tools over here. Okay. So what I'm thinking this should look like, or work like, I guess, is you add a custom card manually, and it should probably custom badge card, and then you add badges, just like in the view configuration. So I always use the lights in the demo integration because I remember their names. Ceiling lights and light kitchen lights. Of course, this won't work now, but that's how I want it, how I want the configuration to look. And of course, it could also have entity, more configuration options like icon and such. Okay, so I have no plan for this, so I'll just see what happens and probably copy some of my other stuff. Maybe this is a good starting point actually. The gap card, which does nothing at all. No, it's not. I will want a lit element, based element. So let's take fold entity row was recently updated, so that could work. It's running. So I'll start by making sure I have my COD tools installed. I think I should have. They should have been added by npm add. Is that right? Define badge card. Badge card. Comma, of course. And actually, I think this already enable us to get one step further, in that we can now add a custom badge card, get a different error, and save it. Why can't we save this? Okay. So it says that set config is not a function. That's a good starting point. That's what a function that's called by Lovelace to provide the card configuration to the card element before it's built and placed into the layout. So it has a very simple footprint. It just gets an object that's the configuration. Well, the YAML configuration for the card, really, but in as a JavaScript object, of course. It's very common to just store it away, so you will have it ready for when you need it. And this would make that error go away. Why doesn't it? So a lot of this will probably be me thinking about why things don't work. Maybe if I try saving, that seems to work better. And now we have nothing. That's good, actually, because we haven't added a render function. But with this, we should get some form of output. Good. Okay, so a good start with lots of things I do. If you know my cards, you know I mostly tweak the functionality of Lovelace rather than creating new cool stuff like the mini media player or things like that. So I always start from the front end GitHub repo. So as I was thinking, I should look at how Lovelace does it, and that should be here, I think. If we look at the render function for the view, we have a div with ID badges. That's probably populated from somewhere. We have a create badge element. That's a good clue. And rebuild badge is probably where the badges are created. And should be what I'm trying to copy. So let's see, we have I guess this is called in a loop. It's not actually. Oh, it's this entire function is called once for each element. So we want to look at create badge element. There we go, badges for each. Create element, push it to list of elements. And then append it to the root element, which should be the badges div, exactly. So that's what we want to do as well. And I would guess where would be the best place to create the badges actually. Could be right here at set config. We should at least have a list of badges stored for later, I guess. Unless it already exists, because set config could be called several times through the lifetime of the card. So that's a common pitfall. Let's start with some configuration actually. We could copy what we have in this auto-generated view. So let's just take this part and copy that into our card configuration. So we have something to start with. Let's see, a simple way to do this would of course be just, I think this works, doesn't it? No, it doesn't, of course not. You can't have advanced JavaScript like that in an HTML template. Let's just start with a div. That's it. We know that will probably need to be there at some point anyway. And just for trying it, let's add some badges in the first updated. Now let's do it right from the start. Add badges. And get the root element. Query selector badges. Now for badge in off. What is the JavaScript for loop? Let's try this. This config badges. And just make an empty element for now. We will replace this with an actual badge later. In HTML. I can't call it badge. That's a bad idea. Let's call the loop variable b instead. B entity. For now, that's entity is given for each badge, but that can't be guaranteed later. But I know what the config is because I have it. I did it myself. But now, append child badge. And now let's see. We want to save the badge as well because we will need to distribute the has object to it later. So you might as well do that right now. And for now, we can actually call this just from the set config. No, we cannot. Because it will not be, the badges div will not exist the first time set config is called. But on first updated, I think it will, and I think set config will have been run already. So if we do that, we should get an error. B is not defined for const b off. So far, so good. Yeah. And now I guess I might as well pull in a function from my card tools collection, which is in Lovelace element. I thought I had a badge thing here. I guess I don't. Okay. Then I guess we'll use the card helpers and do things the right way instead of my way. So let's see, how did this work? Recently, a set of card helpers were added to Lovelace, which can be loaded in through a globally defined function, which I think is load card helpers, indeed. And that will return a promise to a badge, to some functions that can create common Lovelace elements. So if we get the card helpers, await window load card helpers. Can I do that in the console? Helpers, await. Yes. then we can take a look at it. I don't know if you can see this. It's very small text, but we can see there are some helper functions, and the one I want is create badge element. So that's what I should use here. And then I want to replace this row with const badge is card helpers create badge element, and that should get the badge configuration. And I suppose that would return a promise. I can try that here. Helpers create badge element entity light. It should be a string. No, it returns an element immediately. Okay, that's nice. And that should be given the has object. Badge has is this has, which is not defined at this point. But at least it's something. And the rest, it should be appended to the div, and it should be pushed to the list of badges. Let's just see if this compiles. Looks good. Something happens. So I think if I actually give it a has object, it should display something at this point. Save it. So, and for b of this badges without an underscore, b has. This should probably display something with a bit of luck. And it does. That's great. So the point of this now is I could, for example, have a vertical stack card with, say, an entities card and a glance card. And then I could add my badge card. Do I still have that configuration? Yes, I do. And now I could actually see the badges even in panel mode. Or, well, when I'm using, for example, my layout card or something like that. So this is looking pretty good already, I think. Since I'm using the built-in card helpers, I don't have to worry at all about handling different badge configurations. That should be taken care of. But I could probably make it, well, it already looks pretty much the same as well. Are there any styles at all applied to the badges element? Font size 85%, text align center, margin, that's not very much. But it does look different, so I guess I should add that to this as well. Let me look at my add card just to see how that's done. in a lit element. I think I'm importing CSS up there, yes. And that should be then badges. And let's just copy whatever Lovelace does, more or less. We don't need to worry about the margin this far at least. I should probably make it look good, maybe center everything in the card. So we just need font size 85%. Text align center would put it in the center, I suppose. And this should put the badges here with a smaller text size. So this went easier than I thought it would. So there will probably be a lot of edge cases. I would actually assume this already works with my card mod plugin, but I could try that. By adding some styles to this badge, for example. Let's see what we want to do to it. For badges, the card mod will inject the styling right into the shadow root of the state label badge element. We can actually just test that that works. I don't know if it will do it right away. Yes. Now we have a card mod element added. So let's see what we can do. I suppose a simple thing would be to just change the font size back up of this by editing the host element and add font size 100%. So did that fall through? Let me check. It's fallen through. This should have font size 100%, but it doesn't look like 100% to me. What about if I refresh? Still no. Why isn't that working? That's interesting. That's weird. But then at least that should give a clear indication if things work. Let's try it. 200%. Okay. So this works with card mod. Another thing that would be nice would be if it worked with entity filter. Let's make it do that. I'll turn off panel mode for now. Let's give me some more space. So let's see. Entity filter. All right. I was supposed to to finish the editor for that. Custom badge card. And entities. Let's use the lights as I normally do. Light, ceiling lights, light, kitchen lights. Incorrect field config. There's only one thing to do then. Documentation, Lovelace UI, entity filter. Type entities, state filter card. I'm missing the state filter, of course. What did I press? That's not nice. Good. Okay, there we go. State filter. And then I guess on. No. State filter list. See below. If you find I thought this should work. Underscore. Sorry. There we go. And we get nothing because entity filter populates the entities list of the card, and we are reading the badges list. So what we can do is actually read the entities list instead, if it exists. So this config entities or this config badges. And that should probably work right off the bat. I was hoping. It does not. No errors. So let's find the card and take a look at it. Entity filter, badge card. What does the config look like? Entities, array. That's interesting. Not what I was hoping for. Did I mistype the light, ceiling lights? Let's see, with one lights on, I get one in the list. I probably need, yes, of course, I need to rebuild this. More often. And I need to spell kitchen correctly. That should also help. Okay. Let's see, when should I rebuild the list of badges and how? I should rebuild it entirely every time the list changes, I suppose. And an easy way of doing that Um, I'm being told to look at the Twitch chat, but I'm very good at focusing on more things at once. See what are people saying. I'm not ignoring you, Ian. I'm ignoring everyone. You can't stream and not look at the chat. I have no idea how to stream. This is my first time I do this. There's a lot of chat. No pressure. Okay, no pressure, thank you. Let's see. Can I make this chat window a bit bigger? You are using lit, don't use setters. Well, the thing is, I'm not using the entirety of lit element. I'm only using the things I can extract from forcibly extract from elements that are already shipped in default lovelace, uh, because I don't want to pack the entire lit element package into all my cards. I know that's stupid because it's not a very big package, but it's just a decision I made at some point, and I'm sticking to it for now. uh, until it doesn't work anymore. Then I will have to adapt, of course. You can make custom badges, yes. That's and I have never seen any either. I don't think there's anything on hacks. I don't want to bring up hacks because then you see my local URL, but I did a search for badge in the front end repos earlier, and I found one thing, I think, and that wasn't a badge either. Yes, I can still use properties. But I'm using the setter in this case to redistribute the has object to all of the badges. That's probably a better way to do that as well. I could do that in the updated function, for example. Let's do that just to try. I think it looks like this. I should bring up the lit element documentation. Guide. And wasn't there a life cycle? Updated. Change properties. Change properties. And that's a JavaScript set, I think, so that should have a has function. So if change properties has, then for b of this badges b has is this has. That should do it, so I can do away with this this setter entirely, and this underscore and this. Let's see if that works. Does not, because I'm missing a closing parenthesis. There. Are the keyboard noises entirely, or can you stand the keyboard? I hope, because I can't do very much about it right now. This doesn't seem to work. Let's do this. The cheap and dirty debugging. I need to define the properties. Let's see, that's static get properties return, and that's an object, and we want like so. Then the lit element knows that it wants to get a has object, and now it works. And it triggers a re-render, and this would probably be the best way to check if the list of badges has been updated as well. So just to try if it works, we can rebuild the entire list here. This badges, we should do that before setting the has property of it. Well, this will be a bit of a lot of repeat stuff for now, but I'll just make it work first and then clean it up. That's normally how I do things. I try things until things work, and then I remove things until they don't work again. And when that happens, I add things back until things work, and then I ship it. That's pretty much it. Well, something is happening. But it doesn't clear the old badges, it just adds new ones. Let's close this window so we can focus a bit. We should remove the old badges before adding the new ones every time it's re-rendered. So while root first child is not undefined, root remove child root first child. And now I think it's not remove child. Is it delete child? Sounds weird. What is the right command or the function? Remove child. Did I misspell it? Is it because it doesn't exist yet? If root, let's just, if not root, return. It's just for now, Zach. I will do it more. For now, I'm removing and rebuilding. That's a terrible thing to do in the long run. Parameter 1 is not off. Let element adds some comments in the HTML, and I think that's what I'm running into here. Maybe. Or is it that? What does this actually look like? First child. Null. So that's the problem now. Because null is not undefined. Not triple equals to undefined, at least. It's double equals to undefined. But JavaScript is weird. And then we can first child. Parameter 1 is not of type node. Let's pull out the big guns, see what's actually happening. Let's see what we have. We have root, and we have root first child. I'm doing the opposite of what I want. While there is a child, it should remove the child, not while there isn't a child. Okay, so if I add this, we should get 3 badges, and that seems to work. Great. Okay, now let's do this more intelligently. Am I up to speed in the chat? I think I am. So let's see, we should probably store a list of, I still have a log statement somewhere, right? Yes, let's remove that. Store a list of the badges to check if they need updating. Let's see, does this cost anything? Awaiting load card help us every time. It shouldn't, right? Because that's buffered, isn't it? Let's see. Load card helpers. Well, it's only imported once at least, so it should be. The first time this could take a while, but then it should return almost immediately. So there's no problem with awaiting that every time I would say, but I have no idea how to do asynchronous programming. Let's see, where are we? Node card helpers. There. Yeah, that's just an import statement. Mm-hmm. So let's see, this is the same logic is used somewhere else, I'm sure. Actually, it's used in I'm thinking of the entity filter card itself. That's actually looking at the new state and comparing the old and the new one. So it should run setconfig whenever the card should update, I think. Where is this called from? That's not the function I want. That's a lit element built in. Update. Evaluate filter. Okay, so in the update function of the entity filter, it checks the filters, and I think if or I would guess this returns early if nothing needs to be updated, and if it needs to be updated, it calls the setconfig function of the card. So we shouldn't need to worry about updating anything really. But actually we could probably call add badges from here. And that should update, but then we shouldn't store all the old ones. Let's start from a new list every time. And they will be given the hash object there, and it should be passed on as soon as the badge card gets it. So this should actually work pretty well, I think. Seems to work. It's responsive. Yeah, that's nice. Mm. So I guess this is actually feature complete at this point. Pretty much. Mm. Unless anyone in the chat can come up with anything that should be added or changed. This isn't needed since add badges is called in the setconfig function even Or is it? That might be needed actually, because yes, it is. Because set config is called before um, this is added to the DOM. Mm, So that's probably a thing that should an optimization opportunity. Sorry, I said I should try to not scratch my beard. It sounds especially bad in quarantine times, of course. Mhm. So how do I avoid running add badges twice on first? Check if has is available in add badges. Is that really necessary? Because I mean, well, we would avoid uh, running the setter of the badge, but depends on the badge. Yeah, I guess. Let's just do a little bad form indentation based if branch. A lot of custom cards break on undefined has. That's true, but that's on them. No, but you're right. I should check if it exists first. Uh, in case we ever get a custom badge. I guess this is fine. I mean, running add badges twice shouldn't be too bad. Or should it? No, it's good enough, I think. A boilerplate badge might be a good idea. I agree. I never made a badge either. I don't even know what it could be. I mean, hmm, I don't know. I think actually let's. I wonder if badges would work with some of my custom cards. Uh, I stopped the wrong thing. Let's just restart that for it. I want to stop this container and go to auto entities. So this is my testing container for the auto entities card, which is the entity filter on steroids. And my thinking is that since all things in Lovelace have the same interface, we should be able to use auto entities to populate. No, we shouldn't be able to use that to populate the badges list, of course. But we probably could add a card inside within the badges. I wonder how that works. It would most likely look terrible. But let's take. Actually, we could add a stock card. I just want to see how this looks at this point. Interesting. That might be a bad way of adding a header. Okay, that's just fooling around. Let's go back. Okay, back to the badges. So now that I restarted this container, I think the the changes I did to the interface are gone. Yes. So that could be a good time to look at my test cases. Woohoo, testing. Use. I usually set up some test cases for all my custom stuff just to make sure they work and that I catch edge cases. So let's add some comparisons. I could actually use those. The same configuration. Ooh, didn't want to do that. Set no paste. And now let's fix the indentation. Looks good. Cards type custom badge card. And copy this and indent it like so. And we should have a working Lovelace view. We don't. Why doesn't it work? I think I should have the Lovelace configuration file inside the container. I don't. Did I forget that in my compose file, perhaps? Yes, I did. So let's include lovelace.yaml to config lovelace.yaml. and restart the container again. And that's exactly what I expected. The normal badges and the badge card. And this looks exactly how I wanted it to look. That's nice. Now put the badge card in badges. Why not? Let's just see what happens. Oh, that's interesting. The 95% font size scales for nests. That's cool. Let's go crazy. Hmm. Okay, so that works. That's good to know, I guess. Deeper. Let's unleash the power of Vim. Is that deep enough, Ian? It doesn't look half bad, actually. I'm surprised. Okay, but let's go back to this. So there's not very much that could go wrong here, I think. I suppose I should test the, keep an example of the entity filter. And that could make sense in a horizontal stack together with an entities card. Just so we can change the state. And entity filter. State filter on. It's non-alcoholic beer, I swear. And of course the default card type for entity filter is entities. So we want card type custom badge card. And there we go. Yeah, that's good enough for now. Let's see. Something that could actually go wrong is a bad configuration. So let's see what happens then. Aligned. Like no badges or entities defined. We actually don't want anything to happen then, because then we would, if we got an error message for this configuration, we would also get an error message when used in entity filter. So this is good, I think. Another thing is what happens with empty list, or just nothing. It's good. How about an entity that doesn't exist? Right, no light. I expected something to happen there really. What happens to the badges? Entity not found. Oh, this is something I had missed. You should be able to do this without by just specifying a string, and that doesn't work. So let's fix that. And that should happen right here where create badge element is run. And we can't edit. We have to be careful here because we can't edit B, so we can't make that an object. Well, it's a constant anyway. Well, the simplest way would be just to I don't think JavaScript has a isObject function. There's usually a combination of checks that's passed around. Yes. So I suppose we should just check if it's a string. And if it's not a string, we assume it's an object. And if it's not a string or an object, that's the user's fault. Then we just crash. So if type of the is string, we pass in entity b, otherwise b. up a bit. But that should work. It does not. Syntax error. String is not defined. String should be a string. And that seems to work. Let's see, it was updater, and that exists. And here with light, no light, we get entity not found. So that's nice. Now I'll just do some cleanup of this in the way I normally do. I try to include the prefix x dash is something that's standard in Docker Compose files just to define YAML node anchors. And I've taken to use that in Home Assistant as well. This is why I include card mod in all my test containers, actually, just to get some nice descriptions of what I've tried. So I use a vertical stack with some cards where one is the description. And then I pretty much copy in the configuration like so. And this should be in the stack as well. There we go. And then I get a nice little description of all my test cases. I won't do all this on stream. That would be painful to watch, I think. And the same goes with the README files and such. So actually, I think this is it for today. I think you can expect to find this in Hacks tomorrow, European time. It's past midnight now, so today, Central European time, actually. Yeah, I'm satisfied with the progress, and this wasn't really as scary as I thought it would be. Perhaps I'll try this again sometime. We'll see. So, well, thanks for watching. I'll try to put this on YouTube as well if someone wants to look at my process, I guess. So, have a good night, you too. Let's see how I stop this. End stream, that looks promising. Bye.